Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another film review. Tonight we're looking at a sort of slasher classic, and it's from the 88 Films Slasher Classic Collection, and we're looking at a film called Popcorn. So here we go, a horror film called Popcorn. What else could you want, really? I'll give you a little bit of info on the film. Let's have a little look for you. Let's have a look. Popcorn is an American film made in 1991. It's a certification of 15, runs for 91 minutes. It's directed by Mark Herrier, stars Jill Schoelen, Tom Villard and Dee Wallace. Screenplay is by Todd Hatchett. Cinematography is by Ronnie Taylor, and the music is by Paul Zaza. So, I saw this years and years ago, and I kind of forgot about it. All went away by me for a number of years. And so I thought, yeah, and I saw it for a really good price online, so I brought it. And when I watched it, I forgot how strange, weird, funny and wonderful the film is. It is a really cool film. I don't think I appreciated it as much back in the day, because it's got an underline of sort of like black humour in it, and back then I was really into my horrors to be quite serious films, so I don't think I appreciated it as much as I do now. The film's based on like this girl who's she's a film student at university, and her mum is played by Dee Wallace, the sort of horror icon that is Dee Wallace. And so and she's been having these weird dreams where she's been visualizing this man in her dreams, and sort of chasing a young girl called Sarah. And when she wakes up, she sort of gets a sort of a dictaphone and sort of makes she sort of goes through her dream and records it, because what she wants to do is turn it into a film. Anyway, we join her at college with some of her colleagues, and they're all talking about how under budget they are. So what they've decided to do is, there's an old theatre in town, an old cinema, and they're going to run a horror night there, put on 3 movies. I'm trying to remember what the three movies are. I think it's The Stench, Mosquito, and the amazing sort of like Electrifying Man or something like that. Anyway, they put on these sort of old sort of movies, and they're all up for it to do it, because they're thinking it's money to put into their sort of like their own sort of projects. Anyway, that they go to the theatre and they see it all run down, and then they're joined by this old sort of aristocrat sort of guy who's come along who I think he runs like a film memorabilia shop, and he's got all this stuff, he says, which you can use for your festival, your horror festival. So that they're quite up for that, and he's got all these sort of costumes and this giant mosquito and things, and so they thought, oh, these can play along great with the films, because the films have all got like a sort of old school kind of gimmick. So the mosquito one's like 3D, the stench one is like a smell-o-vision sort of thing, and the other one is like electrification. He's got all this equipment to set up like electrification in the chairs, so it gives the audience a little shock, and all this, and these sort of smelly vision sort of smells that come through. And he's got all these sort of equipment, so they're all happy for this, and they set up their idea of doing this festival. And then the girl keeps still having these dreams at the same time, and in the box of all these sort of like materials that they find that they're going to use for their festival, they find an old reel of a film, and they put it on, and then they watch it, and the girl's having these dreams starts having flashbacks with this in it. She says, oh, I've seen all this sort of thing in my dreams. I think it's called The Possessor. I think the film that they're watching, and and it's sort of like they've unleashed something, the sort of thing from this watching this sort of film, and then we get to like the actual festival night, and it's quite busy. Loads of people coming to it. Um, and it looks quite cool, and it's really bizarre. They've got like this band playing outside. It's like sort of black reggae band sort of playing outside, and it's kind of really weird, but still kind of really wonderful. And we meet the boyfriend of the main lead, and he's really funny. He keeps making mistakes and falling over and all this stuff, and he brings like some real humour to the film. And the story sort of progresses on, and the girl keeps talking to Dee Wallace, her mother, about this sort of thing, and she asks her about the director of this film, The Possessor, that they saw, and she goes, "No, I've never heard him," but she has. She does know him, because the story sort of unfolds that Dee Wallace not her real mother. She's actually adopted. She is this Sarah girl that's in this film. She keeps having these flashbacks, and the director is her father. Anyway, so they've unleashed something into the cinema, which seems to be to do with the director, because the story behind him is that he showed a film, this Possessor film, back in the day, but didn't show the last scene. What happened is he did the last scene live in the actual theatre, and he actually killed people in the theatre. So that's the backstory of him. And he sort of like comes back to the theatre and haunts this festival. And then we get an array of different sort of kills and bad acting, and we just get all this array of wonderful things going on. So that's all I'm going to tell you. The plot. I liked it because it was based in a cinema and based around horror films. So what do I think of Popcorn? It was amazing, really, really cool. Absolutely loved the film. Now, it's a very strange sort of film because the story does jump a little bit, and it's like, what is actually going on? But it does figure out. But it is really, really cool. It's got loads of black humor in it. The boyfriend of Sarah, he's hilarious. He just is. He's like he almost turns it into like a little bit like of a scary movie sort of thing by all the mishaps that he does. He's really, really cool and funny. And when I watch the film, I think, yeah, I can see it pays homage to some films. It pays homage to Nightmare on Elm Street. The killer is not too dissimilar looking to Freddy, and it's got that sort of like Freddy Krueger sort of backstory going on behind the sort of thing where Dee Wallace is hiding a secret about the past and this sort of thing. But it also reminds me a little bit of the Phantom of the Opera, where you've got like he's sort of like killing and haunting, and he's disfigured and he's killing people in this theatre and all this sort of thing. And then I think it's gone on to influence films like Scream 2. Now, in Scream 2, I think that begins in the cinema, right, with all these kids behaving really wild, watching this Stab movie. This is really the same. They're all going wild watching these old movies and stuff like this. And it is very, very similar like that. And I think this has been influenced by films, and you can see that it's sort of influenced other films by its sort of cult status. And there's sort of like all these little influences going through the film. And some of the humour in it that I think resembles the Scary Movie sort of films, and you can see that in there. And even some of the costumes that the audience are wearing in the theatre, there's almost like a ghost face looking one in there, and you think there must be some sort of things going on, that this sort of film stuck in the middle as sort of done. It shows its influences, but then you can see its influences on other films. And I really like that. It's really, really cool, and it plays out really well. The pluses of it, this edition, it looks really nice. It looks really cool. The acting is fucking awful, really bad. The main character, she's absolutely useless. Even Dee Wallace overacts in it. But that adds to the film. That adds to the charm. And like before I watched it, because I know it's a real sort of cult classic. It's got its real sort of hardcore following that people, and I can see why. Bit like the Slayer, you know, it's got its own following. I can understand why. And you know, Madman and things, why these films have their own sort of cult followings, because there's something charming and unique about this film, and the comedy and the music, and I said the reggae band that play a couple of full songs in this film, almost turn it to like a little bit of a musical, adds something sort of unique to the film. And the story, and there's one funny scene when there's a dead, the killer kills a girl, and the guys find her, and they're talking to her, and he's behind her going, "Oh, yeah, I'm okay. I'm just looking for it," and you could just see, and they're believing it, just thinking it's hilarious. But what fun though! They must have had an absolute scream making this film. It was so funny, and it's sort of like, it doesn't take the piss out of slasher films. I think it pays homage to them, but adds a little bit of humour to it. But then also it takes itself, when it tries to take itself serious, it's sort of like flops, but the flops are great too. You know, it kind of works out, and you kind of like that, and you think, yeah, I love this film. I'm thinking, yeah, I can understand why people absolutely love this film. It's such a cool film. Now, this 88 film edition does have a few special features on it. It has an interview on there, and it has the making of, and it has like the trailer. So there's a few bits in there to sort of like get your teeth into. And the film is most definitely rewatchable, because there's so many little storylines and things that you kind of miss. It's like all these sort of dream sequences and that the girl has, and you're thinking the storyline is that you know that's her father, and that, and Dee Wallace is covering it up, and it doesn't really delve into that very deep. It just sort of touches into it on occasions. And I mean, there's a point where Dee Wallace goes back to the cinema because she keeps getting these phone calls, and she goes to there to sort of like speak to the guy, Gates, I think his name is, the director, and sort of to stop it all because, you know, it's haunting the girl. And she gets captured, and all this sort of bizarre little things that are sort of going on in the film. And then the sort of like the killer sort of undiscovers himself. He's almost dressed like the Phantom of the Opera with a big sort of black hat on and a cape, and it's really bizarre and really wonderful. I was absolutely glued to the film last night, thinking, "Wow, this is such a cool film." It's right up there with cult classics like Night of the Creeps and all these sort of wonderful films. It is along those sort of vein, in that sort of classic sort of cult feel. I'm going to score the film an amazing watch and give it a 9 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10 because, okay, a couple of, not negatives, but things it lacks. Now, gore. There is a little bit of gore in there, but I think if this would have had more gore, it probably would have been a 10 out of 10 for me. It just lacked on the gore front. There is some in there, but not a lot. Not a lot, not enough to get yourself your teeth stuck into, if you like. But there is some little bits in there. But if this would have been a gorier film, I think, yeah, I would have even probably given it a 10. But apart from that, it's fantastic. Really cool film. Popcorn, 9 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. Now, I'm not sure. It's still in print at the moment, so you can still pick it up, because a lot of these slasher collections are going out of print. I've got a few that are out of print now, like Just Before Dawn and films like that are no longer in print, which is strange, and they go for absolute silly money. So I would grab this if I was you, if you catch it. I think it's available on Amazon for about 11 or 12 pounds, something like that. It's worth a pickup, guys, to add to your collection. It's really cool. It's something different, and I think you can also pick it up. There's a website that Popcorn and Horror recommended called what was it called? Planet of Hollywood or something like that. Go to his page and he's got a link to it in his page, and they're doing 2 for 15 on the 88 films, and I believe this is in it. So you could pick this up and another movie for 15 quid, and if you do, I highly recommend you going and picking up Maniac at the same time. 2 great slasher films. But that's it, guys. Till my next video, please check out some horror channels. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Designs, Popcorn and Horror. I am Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, and Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. And until next time, massive shout out to the lad. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon.